The monsoon raged with a fury that matched the storm in Neha's chest. Her bare feet slapped against the slick pavement as she ran, the downpour transforming Mumbai's streets into rushing rivers. Her silk sari, once a vibrant emerald green, now clung to her body like a second skin, the fabric rendered nearly transparent by the relentless rain. She didn't bother knocking. Rahul's door flew open under her pounding fists, revealing the man himself in a rumpled t-shirt and sleep-tousled hair. His eyes widened as they traveled from her heaving chest to the sodden braids snaking down her back. "You're drenched," he stated dumbly, reaching for a towel. Neha shoved past him, leaving a trail of rainwater on the hardwood. "They're discharging Priya tomorrow," she gasped, her voice raw. "The hospital, they won't continue treatment without payment. 4 lakh. By morning." Rahul's apartment smelled of stale coffee and masculine musk. The dim lighting caught the droplets sliding from her nose to her chin as she struggled to breathe through the panic. "You've tried everything?" "Everything." Her fist connected with his chest. "The banks denied the loan. I sold Mum's jewelry last week. Even my gold bangles, the ones from graduation." Her voice broke. "There's nothing left." The silence stretched between them, filled only by the drumming rain and the drip of her hair onto the floor. Rahul's gaze traveled to the inky black rope clinging to her back. "There's one thing." Neha followed his line of sight. When understanding dawned, her palm connected with his cheek with a crack that echoed through the apartment. "You bastard." Her chest heaved. "All those times you accidentally touched it. All those compliments. You've been fantasizing about this, haven't you?" Rahul didn't deny it. "I'm trying to save Priya's life." The fight left Neha's body in stages, each surrender more intimate than the last. Rahul watched the transformation from his kitchen doorway, the way her furious trembling subsided into exhausted shivers, how her proud shoulders finally slumped in defeat. When her knees buckled, he caught her effortlessly, his hands spanning her waist as he guided her onto the sofa. "Look at me." Neha raised her chin defiantly, but her eyes were red-rimmed, vulnerable. Rahul's fingers found the sodden end of her braid, squeezing until water dripped onto his hardwood floors. The sound seemed to echo. "Stand up." When she hesitated, he fisted his hand in her hair, not painfully, but with enough pressure to make her gasp. He led her to the full-length mirror beside his bedroom door, positioning her like a doll. Their eyes met in the reflection. "Do you know how many men have fantasized about this hair?" Rahul's free hand trailed down the length of the braid, his fingertips catching on the damp strands. "The way it moves when you walk. How it smells after you've washed it." His palm slid up to cup the nape of her neck. "How it would feel wrapped around my fist." Neha's breath hitched. The comb appeared in her peripheral vision. "Do it yourself first. I want to watch." Her fingers shook as she began working through the tangled ends. Each stroke pulled faint whimpers from her throat, whether from pain or the unbearable intimacy of the act, even Rahul couldn't tell. When she reached a particularly stubborn knot, his hand closed over hers. "Let me." The moment his fingers touched her hair, Neha's entire body tensed. Rahul worked slowly, deliberately. First, unraveling the braid inch by inch, his knuckles brushing the sensitive skin between her shoulder blades. Then separating the strands with his fingers, fanning them out across her back like a living shawl. Finally, combing from roots to ends in long, luxurious strokes that made her eyelids flutter. "You're enjoying this too," Rahul murmured against her ear, noting the way her breathing had changed. "All these years protecting it, and part of you always wondered, what if?" Neha's denial died in her throat when he gathered all her hair in one hand and pulled just hard enough to arch her back against him. The damp strands slipped through his fingers like black silk as he began the braid anew, tighter this time, each crossover pulling her scalp taut until her eyes watered. "Does it have to be all of it?" The question escaped in a whisper. Rahul's hands stilled. He met her gaze in the mirror, his fingers still tangled in her hair. The unspoken answer hung between them. The blade gleamed under the kitchen lights, but Rahul didn't reach for it yet. On your knees. Neha's petticoat whispered against her thighs as she sank onto the towel he'd spread. The tile was cold beneath her bare knees. Rahul stood before her, one hand resting lightly on the crown of her head. Feel this, he murmured, threading his fingers through the heavy curtain of hair. He guided her hands upward, forcing her to experience what he did, the incredible weight of it, the way the strands slithered like live things between their joined fingers. This is what you're sacrificing. His thumbs found the sensitive hollows behind her ears, massaging in slow circles as his other fingers combed through the lengths. Again and again, until Neha's breathing went shallow, until her scalp tingled from the attention. Then, a sharp tug backward. Neha gasped as her head was wrenched back, throat exposed, her hair now a taut rope in Rahul's fist. The scissors appeared in his other hand, cold metal kissing the base of her neck. Wait. The first snick was deafening. Neha jerked as a thick lock tumbled past her shoulder onto her lap. Rahul released his grip just enough to let her see the uneven ends, the way the severed hair curled against her thigh like a dying thing. Shoo. He gathered another section, this time sawing the blades deliberately slow, letting her feel each individual strand part. Count them for me. Every 1,000 cuts your sister lives another day. By the 5th snip, tears tracked freely down Neha's face. By the 10th, her breathing had synchronized with the rhythm of the scissors. Only when her hair was cropped roughly to her jawline did Rahul finally set the scissors aside. His palms cradled her face, thumbs smearing the wetness on her cheeks as he tilted her head this way and that. Almost there, he murmured. His fingertips explored the new terrain, the harsh line where long met short, the way the uneven ends bristled against his palms. He rubbed a thick lock between finger and thumb like fine fabric, then let it drift to the growing pile on the floor. The razor came next. Rahul took his time. First pass, from forehead to crown, the blade scraping away the fringe she'd hidden behind for years. Neha squeezed her eyes shut as cool air kissed the newly exposed skin. Look. He forced her chin up. The stranger in the reflection, wide-eyed, vulnerable, stared back. Second pass, behind her ear, his free hand tilting her head aside. Neha shuddered as his breath ghosted over the shell of her ear. So sensitive here, he mused, scraping away another swath. Third pass, the nape of her neck. Rahul's palm pressed flat between her shoulder blades, bending her forward until all she could see was her hair falling in dark rain onto the tile. When he finally turned her to face the mirror, Neha barely recognized the creature staring back, all wide eyes and quivering lips and nakedness. Rahul's hands framed her bare scalp, thumbs stroking the peach fuzz already rising in the razor's wake. Beautiful, he murmured, watching her pupils dilate in the glass. His fingers traced the contours of her skull like a blind man memorizing a lover's face. The final humiliation came when he pressed her palm to his erection, still trapped behind his jeans. All for you, he breathed against her freshly shorn temple. Every inch. Neha's fingers curled into fists. But she didn't pull away. The buyer counted out the cash with nicotine-stained fingers. Virgin Indian hair, he marveled, weighing the braid in his hands. Haven't seen quality like this in years. Priya's hospital room smelled of antiseptic and wilted flowers. When Neha entered, her sister's gaze skittered away from her bare scalp. You look ridiculous, Priya muttered, picking at her foreline. The whiskey burned going down. Rahul's apartment door swung open before she could knock. Tell me the truth. Neha's fingers skimmed her naked scalp. Do you like me better like this?